Hi, I'm Joshua Schoen, and I do integration analytics for Bancor. This video is about cryptocurrency bridges, and it has 4 short parts. In part 1, we compare what people think bridges do to what they actually do. Part 2 is about the security problems with bridges. Part 3 is how bridges work and why they are so hard to get right. And part 4 is about the Cosmos IBC and what makes it special. In the cryptocurrency world, a bridge is a smart contract that connects 2 separate blockchains. So, how do people think these bridges work? Well, when I hear people talk about bridges, they say things like, I bridged my ETH to AVAX. And if you look at the ETH AVAX bridge right now, there's about $225 million worth of bridged ETH, along with another $500 million of bridged stablecoins. People tend to think that their ETH actually left the Ethereum blockchain and is now on the Avalanche blockchain, and this is totally incorrect. So here's what bridges actually do. A bridge is a smart contract that you give your tokens to. Then, this smart contract signals another smart contract on another blockchain to print a receipt for you. This receipt is redeemable for the ETH you locked up, and anyone can get that ETH if they have the receipt for it. For the AVAX Ethereum bridge, the name of this receipt is WETH, or USDCE, or USDTE. So, when you bridge assets, those assets never leave the blockchain they started on. They are still on ETH, sitting in a smart contract. And you see, because these bridges are foolproof, no one has ever been able to steal any money from any bridge, ever. One of the appeals of blockchain technology, like AVAX, ETH, or even the Binance Smart Chain, is that anyone can make a token, and new projects are being made all the time. But what if someone made a token for the sole purpose of tricking the bridge? What if someone figures out a way to make a token that the bridge thinks is a receipt for the ETH that people bridged? This is how most bridge hacks happen. Some user creates some token with a strange property or function, and then sends the bridge that token. Sometimes they just send one token, sometimes they send a series of tokens, sometimes it's just a message of some sort, and the way the bridge knows to interpret that message is, oh, this must be a receipt for all those tokens on the other side. Here you go. And that's it. That's basically the whole process. You just trick the smart contract on one side of the bridge into releasing the assets on the other side of the bridge. One of the biggest problems with bridges is that no two bridges are the same, except on Cosmos, but more on that later. Shouldn't this be a simple thing? Here is one type of token with a unique identifier, and it should make exactly one type of receipt with a unique identifier. And these two things should be the only thing that the bridge accepts. Why is this so hard? Why does everyone get this so wrong? This should be a simple thing. You accept one token and you issue one receipt, and the receipt is only good for that type of token. Why is this something that everyone gets so wrong? It costs them hundreds of millions of dollars. Why is it so hard? Okay, so in Star Trek, there's a universal translator, a device so that everyone can understand everyone else. The point being that communication problems are so frustrating to the average person that even our fictional stories don't have that as a problem to deal with. When it comes to blockchain technology, you have a universal translator, your digital wallet. This digital wallet interacts with all of your dApps for you. 5 years ago, the idea that my Ether wallet could interact with all these dApps was amazing. But in the current year, 2022, digital wallets are so good at what they do, people forget that they're doing anything at all. Okay, so what does this have to do with how bridges work? Bridges are smart contracts that are set up by a third party, and they have 3 parts. The person who makes the bridge must set up all 3 parts of the bridge. First is a place that can send and receive messages. This place is called a node. The next part is a place that carries the message. This is called an edge. And the last place is another node that can also send and receive messages, just like the first node. And that's all a bridge is. 2 nodes that are connected by an edge, and they can each send and receive messages to each other using that edge. We aren't going to spend a lot of time talking about the data carrier part of the bridge, which we call the edge, because it's pretty much perfect. Seriously, I have never even heard of a bridge breaking down because of a failure of the bridge to carry the message from one node to another. This part isn't the problem at all. The problem is what message is being sent. Every blockchain has its own smart contract language. For Ethereum, it's Solidity, and for Solana, it's Rust, C, and C++. And this is the problem. How do we create two nodes that can send and receive messages in such a way that there is never miscommunication when the nodes have to be written in fundamentally different coding languages? Because all it takes is one slight mistranslation of a message from Rust to Solidity, and boom, you've got a $300 million hack. Again, the problem isn't that the edge didn't give the data from one node to another, it's that the sender wrote a message with the goal that the receiver would mess up the translation, and that's how bridges get hacked. All it takes is one clever individual to send one message that is carefully written in such a way that the node which receives the message does something that the creators of the bridge don't want, like steal $300 million. I did a whole video about the Cosmos ecosystem if you want to learn more, but here we will just be looking at the Interblockchain Communication Protocol, the IBC. This isn't just one bridge, but a series of bridges that connects dozens of blockchains in the Cosmos ecosystem. So, how is the IBC different than any other bridge? Well, in order to connect your blockchain to the IBC, your blockchain must be built using the Cosmos SDK and meet certain specific requirements, seen here. And these aren't all of the requirements, but just to give you an idea. The way the IBC solves the problems of messages being mistranslated is by having every blockchain communicate in the same fashion. They are standardizing the way that inter-blockchain communication is done. You can't incorrectly translate a message sent through the IBC because using the IBC means that you and I already speak the same language. And I think this is an extremely robust way to solve the security issues relating to bridges. It should be noted that right now, there is no IBC bridge from Cosmos to Ethereum, because Ethereum doesn't meet the criteria to be a part of the IBC. But the Sif Chain team is working on a way to have a bridge from ETH to Cosmos, despite Cosmos and ETH having two different languages. Because ETH and Cosmos have different languages, this bridge, which is called PEGI, will have the same security risks that every other bridge has, and it is very likely that ETH will never be IBC compliant. So, if you see a bridge from ETH to Cosmos in the future, you should consider that this is not the standard IBC compliant bridge. All in all, this video should make you very concerned about using bridges. Every major developer I have ever talked to is extremely skeptical of bridges, and we all tend to think of them as nothing other than ticking time bombs. To me, it isn't a matter of if a bridge gets exploited, it's a matter of when. I think that the smart contract coding languages of Ethereum and Avalanche make the ETH AVAX bridge probably the safest, and this isn't financial advice, but I use the ETH AVAX bridge because I'm not worried about it. But what about the IBC? I think that the way the Cosmos team has addressed the problems of bridging is fantastic. Seriously, A+ and gold stickers for everybody who worked on that. The IBC is clearly a better, more sustainable long-term solution to blockchain intercommunication than the current model of, hey everybody, let's all build our own bridge and just hope for the best. And that's how bridges work. There are two nodes which are connected by an edge, and they each can send and receive messages. These messages are responsible for communicating a specific idea. Bridge hacks happen when the coding language of one message is not properly translated into the coding language of the receiving node. This is often done intentionally. The person trying to hack the bridge writes a malicious message to make the receiving node break down in some way. By standardizing the way that blockchains communicate with one another, the Cosmos team has done a fantastic job at reducing the surface area of attack for bridges. And the IBC is the only kind of bridge that I am currently aware of that does not have the problems that typical bridges do. Namely, that the smart contracts that nodes run don't just have to send messages, they have to translate them.